Hello, my name is All, and today I'm going to go over the case of the Las Vegas shootout. Now, this is a layout of the hotel area in which the shooting took place. Here is the Mandalay Bay Hotel. I believe if I'm correct that the shooting came from this area and down to this section. As far as that goes, there's not too much. See, obviously this was premeditated by the man, because it seems as though that he was fully prepared for it. Now here's the timeline. At exactly 9:59, a hotel security guard was shot by Paddock on the 32nd floor, and at 10:05, first shots were fired into a music festival. Then at 5:12, the first two officers arrived on the 31st floor to announce that gunfire is coming from directly above them. 10:15, the last shots are fired by Paddock. At 5:17, the first two officers arrived on the 32nd floor. So I think we can assume that 5:15 is when he killed himself, since those were the final shots. 5:18, the security officer tells police he was shot and gives the location of a gunman's room. Then at 5:26 through 5:30, 8 additional officers arrived on the 32nd floor and began to move down the hallway, clearing every room, looking for any injured people. They no longer hear gunfire. 10:55, 8 officers arrived at the stairwell at the opposite end of the hallway by his room. 11:20, officers enter the room. They see his body on the ground on the second floor that could not be assessed from their position. 10:27, a second breach is set off, allowing officers to enter the second room. They quickly realize that there is no one else in the room and announce that the suspect is down. Now here's the main thing. This is where they entered at 11:12. This was the second room that they eventually got into. Now, he has open suitcases, ammunition. So this is where he was shooting out. And these were the cameras in which he used to keep an eye on. Do this. That's the major question. Now, I have two ideas of what it could be. For the first one, it's, as the officer said, let's get into this first. Let's see, they said around here. Yeah, it's one thing here is that they believe that he was not staying in Las Vegas for the whole time. They believe he was going to Mesquite several times in the days leading up to October 1st. Which does seem quite odd, just because if you're going to commit a murder like this, he was planning the moment he purchased a hotel room to do this. So he must have been going to that area for a reason. Now I'm not sure what that reason is, but the two ideas I have involve it. Oh well. Okay. Well, another thing that they found was that he was apparently that he was planning on leaving because his vehicle was filled with more ammunition, guns, and bombs. So, then why would he choose to commit suicide in a hotel room? Well, I believe that what he was planning on doing was that after most likely he had an escape route all planned, but he did not expect the cops to surround him so quickly. He did have security cameras in his room that allowed him to keep an eye on the officers when they were coming to his room. He realized he was blocked off and was trapped. And so he decided to commit suicide instead of perhaps facing trial. Now the next question is, why did he choose... No, that's not a question. Why did he choose to commit suicide of all the options? Was he truly... Maybe he wasn't planning on leaving, perhaps. As I said, his car was filled with explosives, ammunition, and guns. So, perhaps what his original plan was to take all the ammunition, guns, and bombs up to a hotel room and then start lining everything up as set for booby traps for when the officers did come. Maybe he's gonna have a shootout and in the end perhaps go out with an explosion. That could have been a possibility. And the reason why he didn't do that was because when the security guard at 9:59 was shot, perhaps the reason why he shot him was because he was nervous. Someone who's never done anything like this before is probably gonna have high nerves and is very like constantly wondering, oh no, what's going on? And he's most likely thinking that everyone's constantly watching him, especially a cop. So if he saw a security guard and assumed that he saw him holding a gun, he was most likely hiding a gun, but then it seemed like the security guard saw him, so he decided to act on his plan immediately. And he was most likely going to go back down to his car and bring stuff back up on a constant basis until he got everything prepared. But then the security guard made him freeze and not do it. Instead, he just decided to act now. That was my first theory. Now the second one involves this. Perhaps he is working for a terrorist group. Or perhaps he wanted to start a terrorist group. With all the explosives, gun, and ammunition he has, perhaps his original plan was actually that after he makes the shootout, and with his security cameras, he can see where the cops are and avoid them rather than heading out to his car. Now again, everyone says this is his first time ever doing anything illegal or crazy. So, doing something this big is not going to be something for an amateur like him to be able to do. So he's just going to think, oh, because I know where cops are, they won't be able to catch me. He thought of it the wrong way and he got cornered in the end. So, what I'm thinking what happened after that is that once he realized he was cornered and he just wanted to, instead of facing the consequences, he decided to commit suicide. Now this still seems odd, because if he was planning on continuing to murder after the hotel, drive out to his car, I believe after he was planning on going to his car, he was going to head towards Mesquite for whatever place. Perhaps he had a place set up there to meet some people. Perhaps this was going to be his next home until he can move around freely and continue his murder. That's most likely the option I see with that. Now, you can take his suicide in one of two ways. One, he chose to commit suicide because he did not want to face any repercussions from the other people around him and just decided to take a quick, fast way out. Or number two, perhaps he knew something. Perhaps he was trying to keep something a secret that he did not want the officers to find out. Now, Now that's just it. That's about all I can think of. That either option number 1, he was planning on originally blowing up the entire hotel room with the bombs and guns that he had in his car, but he was stopped by the security guard. Or number 2, he was planning on escaping and then heading out into Mesquite. He was then either going to meet someone to continue his murder spree and become a terrorist, or he was starting his own terrorist group perhaps. Or is the option also that he was just going to stop being a serial killer on the one. But anyway, that's all I have for this.